Farewell, Heaven Sent Bakery in O'Fallon, Missouri. Heaven Sent Bakery was opened on June 20th, 1995 by two sisters named Linda and Janet. Starting out in a humble 1,000 square foot space in an unremarkable little strip center offering poor visibility and thus exposure, they doubled their space and tripled their profit by moving to a new Walmart-anchored shopping center at the intersection of Highway K and Mexico Road. Within a decade, the charms of leasing from a giant property manager who caters to the likes of even gianter corporate retail operations had pretty much worn off, and so in the mid-2000s, they sought greener pastures on which to build their own four walls and found one at 1133 Bryant Road. 15 years later, and after a 27-year run, Heaven Sent closed its doors for the final time on Friday, September 30th, 2022. The building has been sold, ironically to a dentist of all things, and is seen here, being refitted for a new life of making holes in teeth with a drill rather than sugar. There are more often than not one or more routine scenarios and reasons behind the closure of a business, such as insolvency from poor quality of product or management, or neighborhood decline, sometimes even eminent domain or scandal and corruption. But none of these were the case for this thriving, beloved O'Fallon landmark. Sometimes it just comes time for the proprietor to have a happy retirement, and there is no one willing and able to take their enterprise over. This is closest to the story here, which starts about 10 years after finally getting settled in their forever location. Janet and Linda began to work on their exit strategy by putting their labor of love and toil on the market as a turnkey business in 2017. Knowing they wouldn't be able to run the business forever, the siblings always imagined one day passing it along to some bright-eyed young enterpriser who yearned to operate a modern bakery that did things the old-fashioned way. Unfortunately, this plan never came to be, despite a number of very good chances that just never managed to line up and work out, resulting in the only real tragic element of the story. After a number of unfruitful relationships with real estate agents and brokers spanning half a decade, much of it during the very trying times and developments stemming from 2020's favorite antagonist, eventually they commissioned yet another spin of the real estate agent who landed on a buyer within a week. It wasn't anyone who wanted to carry on the Heaven Sent torch, but after years of mounting stress and anguish from this task and compounded by several others, a sale was a sale, and who could blame them for jumping on the first pragmatic chance to retire in these unprecedentedly uncertain times? With volatile inflationary markets abound, grinding against the labor shortage situation, the heart and soul of this venture simply bled to death of 1,000 cuts. Ultimately, the chapter of the founding owners had to close. This outcome may have been disappointing for them, but sometimes only so much can be done. This was a properly popular bakery right up until the end, with a substantial following on Facebook, I understand. However, it was only after signing a sales contract and subsequently formally announcing the closure did approximately 8 claimed prospective buyers interested in taking over the operation as is come out of the woodwork. But alas, it was too late, and undoing the deal at this point would have surely only enriched a few lawyers. Now you may or may not be wondering just how I have this exceptionally inside information about this particular place, but I'm going to tell you anyway. This is, quite literally in every sense of the word, an exceptional episode of the Farewell series, as this experience blossomed into far more than I was expecting or yet dared to imagine. I have only managed to document very few long-standing local businesses so far, and can't rely on obtaining anything other than exterior shots from the sidewalk. Sometimes I can get pre-closure and or other interior footage, and to say I did so on this occasion would be an understatement. I ended up with so much, in fact, the results would have taken the intended film so far off the mark, I elected to make 2 films. This first one is more or less the representing farewell video as originally intended, followed up by a second, much lengthier production that aspires to be one of the most prominent and special works I've made yet, exceeding even the dear to my heart Farewell series precursor, Memories of Lublies, which was very much in my mind when I set out to beg these people I didn't know for a chance to document their family business history. When I visited, there was no one available to pitch to, so with their pen on their paper, I sat at one of their tables for a good 20 minutes, carefully crafting and composing convincing composition to coerce them. That leaves me to wonder a little if that was key to my success or not. I've made more pitches than hits so far, so I know it's best to not expect to ever hear back. However, to my delight, they did respond with an invitation to basically spend overnight documenting a routine shift of a workhorse staff operating industrial machinery that had been in use virtually 24/7 for years on end, in just 3 days before all their heaven-sent careers would fall silent forever. It seemed like such a profound moment. I'd talked my way in through the employee entrance, and despite feeling underqualified while everyone was looking to me for some reason for the plan of whatever it was I claimed I was doing, I was determined to make the most of it. With nearly 10 hours of total footage to sort through, I felt very good about how the night went and genuinely welcomed by the family-esque staff. At times they shared rather candidly and let me film over their shoulder without complaint, recognizing a like-minded value in preserving the heaven-sent story. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I cordially invite you to watch the unexpected follow-up to this film titled Bakery Sent to Heaven, which is an extended meandering throughout this bakery while in operation one dusk till dawn. I hope these resulting films deliver positive value to all the workers and customers that took part in the Heaven Sent saga over the years and provide some elemental posterity that it deserved. I think I got this opportunity in no small part due to Memories of Lublies, and hopefully this film further enhances my repertoire and reputation towards more documentations like this. As a core principle, my Dozen Speed Film Foundation does not require fees or obligation of anyone regarding the subjects I document, and relies instead on voluntary community financial support. I did get a free sampler due throughout the night, but I paid in full for the cake I ordered. My motivations don't stem from a program for financial gain as much as the urge to save a record of lesser-known local history for the sheer sake of it, with crossed fingers, hoping the odious money part of life works itself out somehow. Thank you for watching. This was a properly popular bakery right up until the end, with a substantial following on Minecraft. Minecraft? Where did that come from?